Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your new premier VGC podcast. I'm Rashil, aka Conkeldonk VGC, and I'm joined by two amazing hosts, Sableye and Tom Aiden. Why don't you guys say hi?
Tom, go ahead. Tell the people who you
What's
are.
up? What's up? No, I'm excited to be here. I can't tell you guys, everyone listening, how happy I am to be talking with these two and to be talking to everyone that's listening. Thank you for listening. And I think this is going to be an entertaining show. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be doing this. So thank you for having me. And let's kick off this first episode. So Ryan, yeah, I'm going to kick it to you.
Yeah, no, you guys just met Tom and Conk. If you guys know me, cool. If not, my name is Ryan, Canadian VGC player, just kind of chilling. And honestly, I am super hyped for this podcast. I think we bring a lot to the table, and I'm really looking forward to sharing what we know with you guys and seeing how this podcast journey takes us.
Yeah, for sure. So, what we're going to be focusing on in this podcast and kind of what you can expect from us moving forward is we're going to talk meta development, we're going to talk any tournaments and stuff like that. We're going to focus on stuff that's like big regionals, worlds, and stuff like that, as well as limitless tours and stuff like that, and highlighting some of the people that you may not hear on the bigger name, on the bigger stages, but people that are doing really well in the community. So, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk Pokemon, and yeah, so I think to get us started, let's talk a little bit about our VGC backgrounds. People can get to know a little bit about us.
Sounds
So,
good.
Ryan, you want to start?
Oh, don't make me start. I mean, I guess I am the longest running one here. So I've been playing competitive Pokemon for 7 years now. Yeah, I've been around too long, but have some decent results. Had a pretty good year this year. This will be my second time qualifying for Worlds, but honestly, I just really enjoy this game. There's something special about this game. I don't know what it is, whether it's the community, but something about it just keeps pulling me back and absolutely love it. So happy to be here and sharing what I know with you guys.
Awesome, awesome. All right, Tom, what about you?
Um, how, where should I start? I don't know where to start. Um, I just kind of started. I wanted to see how I would do after playing some draft leagues, and I went to Indianapolis last year as my first event. And Ryan's been to a lot of events before Indy, I would say.
You could say
And
that.
Rashil, what was your first event actually, Rashil? I don't know that.
So, I started playing in 2020, but I went to my first event last year to Caucus, just like kind of get like because it was local to me, and I was
Mhm.
like, all right, let me get a feel for it. But this was like my first real season,
Yeah,
and
same
I
here.
went to uh, Tennessee, like Knoxville, Vancouver, Hartford, and Milwaukee, and then like locals and stuff like that. But a big breakout, I guess. Like I got CP at every event, which I was like pretty happy about, but
Should be happy
was able
about
to
that.
get fifth place at Milwaukee, which was a big one. So was able to clutch my invite, and yeah, we got three world's competitors here on the panel, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah,
I can't believe I made it still. I'm so
Yeah,
proud
it's
of
not
myself.
real. It
We
never
should all
feels
be
real till you're there. It never does.
yeah,
yeah.
it's super exciting with Worlds coming up in a few days here, so
Hmm.
that's an excellent transition to kind of talking about what we're going to be focusing on today is Worlds prep, Worlds meta, Worlds preview, all things Worlds Japan. So, how are you guys feeling kind of going into the tournament, and how have you guys been feeling about your prep and what you've been seeing in the meta?
So I'm just gonna quickly just jump in with the viewers. Apparently, the rumor has it if you stick around long enough, we're gonna leak Tom's team at the end. So stick around.
Yeah.
So stick around for that. But no. On a more serious note, though, I like to have this joke in my friend group where it's like prep has like aged me like 60 years. So like it just feels like that. It's weird because it's the first time like we have a world championships for the VGC community where the format isn't actually a format we've actually had a major event in yet. So it's one of those ones where we can go in with standard, we can go in with comfort, but there's also that line where it's like maybe at Worlds we're gonna see something none of us are ready for, and I think it's a really interesting take on it. Do I like it? We'll have to find out when I get there, I guess. But it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I call these tournaments the Wild West because there could be someone that just thinks they broke the format, and they could be wrong, but they could be right.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a Wild West. You don't know what you're going to run into. And I think even more so because we're blending all these different cultures with all these different perspectives on the game. So now it's not just the North American players we're playing. I don't want to see anyone that knows me. Like that's my goal. I don't
Yeah.
want to see anyone that knows me, and I don't want to see any of the popular teams on the Limitless Tour so far. I want to see like the Wild West stuff. I want to see the random ass stuff. And that's kind of where I'm at with prep. I don't want to see what's been doing well because I also have been thinking, I'm like, should I over correct some of my matchups? Like, should I change some stuff some more? Like I've been looking at these Limitless tours, trying to feel out how much data and how much the information I could actually trust going into Worlds, if that makes sense too. Like, how many of these teams are going to be there?
That definitely makes sense. Yeah, I've kind of approached prep is like I've been avoiding limitless tours. Normally, I mean, people kind of know that I'm like the limitless warrior.
You're the
I
limitless
play
guy.
every single limitless tour I can. And it's been hard for me, but I've been trying to avoid it because I don't want, if I have something good, I don't want it to like become something people are aware of. But so like, and you've seen a lot of that with like we've had some really big limitless tours. We had like Nino held basically a regional online.
What was the prize money for that one?
I think it was like 1,000, but it was like 600 people had signed up or something like that.
Dude, the prize money that's been going around has been nuts. A wide league with 1,200, then the ESM tour with another 1,000. Like, there's been money to be made in these grassroots tours, which is so cool to see in this month between like the last regional, NAIC, and Worlds.
Yeah, just shout outs to the grassroots organizers and everybody that's been sponsoring these events. Like, you guys are doing massive stuff for the community. We really appreciate it.
For sure,
and then shout out everyone doing a fundraiser and a GoFundMe and everyone donating to that. Because, like, I know I personally, like, I took over for the stream team, the Nino stream team, Nino Pokebros stream team for 3 hours, and my community came through, sorry. And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, holy moly, like, to see how many people were like, yeah, no, we want to donate to see Johnzu get there. Oh, and they're going to give you extra money from that too. Yeah, we want to see you do well too. And everyone that's been donating to, like, I've been seeing David something Cognetta, the Italian player, he's been doing a GoFundMe. Like, any of the GoFundMes that you see, try to shoot a retweet if you can't donate. Just try to, like, help them out some way. And any of the donation things, if you could donate and have the money, like, to help someone out, like, it's been so cool to see that happening in the community. I don't know.
This community.
Have you guys seen a lot of that too?
This community is fantastic. Like, we all try to support each other. Like, obviously, like, every community, you're gonna have like the bad apples, but like for the most part, this community as a whole is absolutely fantastic. I love this community.
Yeah, for sure. It's been awesome to see. It's really been awesome to see. But yeah, so I was like kind of like steering back towards like Worlds prep and stuff like that. It's been weird because like what you were referring to, Sable, is like normally with a new format for like the first couple regionals, we see like a lot of hyper offense or like hard trick room and stuff like that dominate, and then we see more of like the meta development towards like some balance form, but we don't have meta centralization yet. Even with all these limitless tours and stuff like that, especially because there's like, not a lot of the top players playing in all these limitless tours. Some are, sure, but it's really just hard to get a gauge. And so I don't know. I think it's really going to be something where there's balance is going to struggle a little bit more than it has in previous Worlds, just because people aren't really sure yet what the correct balance, like what the best balance archetypes are.
Conk, you just read my mind, because I'm the balance player here, right? I'm the balance player of the three of us, and like I am like dying on the inside trying to run balance right now in this meta right now, and like I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. My balance homies out there, they get me, but like we're trying, trust me, we're trying.
Yeah, and Urshifu doesn't make that any easier. Fluttermane, Urshifu are both the king and queen of this format still. It's ridiculous. I think we can kind of segue to start talking about some of these limitless tours. So
I agree.
Pull up the what was it, the esports match, right?
Yeah, the esports match one.
Yeah.
So I actually played in this one.
Weekend, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Tom, you want to talk a little bit about like your experience playing this one?
Yeah, so I have the metagame pulled up too. And but so I signed up for this one. I won a free membership to Esports Match. And I was like, "Holy moly, that's really cool." Like I retweeted the tweet. I got tagged in the tweet. I got added to the Discord. And they got coaching sessions. They got 2 coaching sessions from Wolf. They got a coaching session from Justin Tang. They got a coaching session from James Beck. They got a coaching session from I'm forgetting the last one, Zach Thornburg.
Yep.
They have 5 coaching sessions from Kick-Ass Worlds players up there. They're gonna keep doing that, and if you pay the 15 monthly subscription, you have access to that as well as the tournaments. So I realized after I shouldn't have dropped from the tournament because this is the first in a series of them. So even if I don't make the day 2, I can get points like a regional structure. So it was a mistake to drop when I got my 3rd loss.
It happens.
Usually
It
in the
happens.
story, yeah. Usually in the limited stories, I'm like, I got my 3rd loss. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Let me go enjoy the rest of my
Gonna
day.
go do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get away from my computer.
Yeah.
But, this
So
was a
speaking
really
of, like,
cool.
Speaking of the day 2 teams here, what are you guys seeing that stands out to you? Obviously, a great Italian player, Fede Campo, won the entire tour, but we also see some great players in day 2. We see Paul Ruiz, we see Adrian. So there's a lot of good players that were in this tour. What kind of stands out to you in the teams that we see here?
My big thing here, and I'm looking at this right away. Now, I was on Tub Takes, I think last week at this point, and they were talking about Goldango and like how Goldango sneakily always has these good results, and you are seeing that here. Like there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the top 16. That's pretty good, right? And it's sneakily having a good time here out here in Regulation D, right? Like there's only what 3, 4, 6 Flutter mains? No, wait, 7 Flutter mains. So 7 and 7, which with the Flutter main being the higher usage mod, it's very clear that the Goldango is converting on its usage more so than the Flutter main. So
there's the same amount of Flutter main and Goldango in day 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case in day 1.
I think when I saw Goldango introduced, like even when they first announced it, and I saw Make It Rain, like a spread steel type move, was it base like 120 per hour, like it's always gonna be good, and like ghost typing is good to immune for fake out. Like it's just
a good
incredible, and I think we're seeing a lot of the nasty plot leftovers, Terra Water Goldangos instead of like, and seeing some specs Goldangos as well. I've seen
on the more aggressive teams. I definitely think so. It's like if they have Tailwind, they really like going specs more often than not, and if they're like the more passive ones, they like to have the nasty plots.
I got by a trick nasty plot choice specs one in Fresno with the Gothitelle.
Trick.
So they would trick you, and
then they'd set up
with Gothitelle and just start setting up and just
All right.
And it was like, shout out to Shrey Chark. I don't know how to pronounce their last name. Shrey something, Char something, and kick-ass player just got me with the
that's pretty cool.
Trick choice scarf or choice spec. No, it was choice scarf, so they weren't boosting my damage either. And then they switched in Gothitelle the same turn, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm done. Good game. It's gonna be a slow death, isn't it?"
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Yeah, I was checking through the top 8 teams here. Top 8 teams, 5 of them have Goldango, 3 of them specs, 2 of them the lefties Terra Water set. So, I mean, you can choose your poison there. Like either go huge damage right away, or you can kind of build up your damage with the nasty plots and then just wreck through teams. But Goldango staying a strong metamon in this in Regulation D.
Very, very, very good point. Like, I'm interested in Mimikyu. I kind of want to see what's going on here on Benji's team, because Mimikyu is a mon that I think has usage, but it just doesn't get that usage because it's typing doubles up with the Flutter main. And Flutter main is such a splashable Pokemon. It's like, oh, I need a 6 slot. I can throw a Flutter main here, right? But Mimikyu, it can do things a little bit better depending on what you need, but you can't just throw it on a team. So seeing Mimikyu here and almost having like this tail room team is actually really, really cool.
Fake out plus Mimikyu disguise. It just guarantees trick room because he has the Rillaboom fake out plus the Mimikyu disguise ability. That there alone, it's really hard to stop that combo in turn 1.
And like I could almost like see them going like maybe like Mimikyu Torn. Now I could be completely wrong on how they want to play this team, but like leading Mimikyu Torn, saying, either give something up immediately to get one of your speed controls, or you just say that I'm gonna hard switch my torn out into something like my Goldango to eat the ice move and then set up a trick room, right? And then all of a sudden you're in trick room with a Goldango and you're sweeping people, right? I think there's a lot to be said about tail room. I think it's definitely interesting, and I'm curious to see how it kind of develops going forward.
What do you guys think about Frogger's team? Sorry to interrupt, Uncle Lonk, but that's the team that Eric Rios won that tournament with too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another tail room team with Drago, Goldango, then the Rillaboom, and Urshifu, plus the Tailwind Tornadus, Trick Room, Rigoraph, and that team has been popping up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How prevalent do you think it'll be at Worlds?
I think that's the team that is exactly kind of what Sable and I were talking about when we were saying that hyper offense and like our trigger and stuff is going to be king, and like this is the epitome of hyper offense. You have Tailwind plus Specs Goldango, you have Tailwind plus Terra, no, it's Terra Steel, but still Dragon Energy does a ton of damage, and then Urshifu plus Fake Out, and then you have your imprisoned Trick Room stuff. So it's a scary team for sure. But that's the kind of double-edged sword of playing these limitless tours and like showing your hand a little bit early. Maybe is you play these teams, you do well in these tournaments early, and now people are going into Worlds with these in mind, saying, okay, I got to prep for this hyper offense team, and now maybe it goes away from that direction instead of that being the strong archetype at Worlds. I still think with the right pilot, it's gonna be a good team, but it may not be as common as it would have been hadn't kind of already made it popular throughout these good results. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I strongly agree with that. And it's a weird spot to be in, right? Because very clearly these 6 Pokemon together are good, right? There's no doubt about that. It's been winning tours. It's been doing really well in tours. Farigiraf is seeing a nice little uptick in usage to shut down like the Dragonite Shenpao stuff. But it's really just a question of how much of this is really going to be at Worlds. You don't know. Like some of these top players winning events with this. Is this even what they're considering? Because they could be considering it and like, oh, they're not going to play with their Worlds team, and then they are playing with their Worlds team. We just won't know, right? It's like they're kind of like hiding in plain sight. So it's going to be very interesting. So I do think you're going to see some of this, like a very similar compositions and stuff. You're going to see the Dragonite Shenpaos. You're going to see your Heatran, Balancy stuff. You're going to see, I would see some Chiyu Flutters. I definitely agree that you're going to see some, like there's archetypes you're going to see. The stuff you're seeing here, it's here for a reason, right? You're going to see stuff like that, right? You're going to see these Heatrans. You're going to see the Rain teams. You're going to see the Shenpaos, right? Like, you're just going to see that stuff. It's going to happen, right? You can only hide so much, right? At some point, you've got to put a team out there, and that team's going to end up being good, right? So it's interesting, right? I'm interested in only, like, 3 Ursalunas in top 16. Like, I feel like everybody at the beginning was like, oh my goodness, Ursaluna. So what do you guys think about Ursaluna?
It won.
It did win.
It did win. I am a big Ursaluna fan. For everyone listening, Tom and I are both big Trick Room fans. So
twist them dimensions.
I do love Ursaluna. It is not the easiest to play though. Actually, no, I'll take that back. It's pretty easy to play in the sense of you get your Guts boost and then you just start doing big damage. I think people have started to adapt to Orlando plus Flutter switches. You can kind of just switch back and forth, and you can either you're going for a Facade into a Flutter main switch, or you're trying to get a Long Rush into a Lando, and those mind games you're just getting Intimidate spammed. So I've seen the adaptations of going for a Swords Dance instead of having EQ on the Ursaluna, stuff like that. But I think people are preparing for it more than they were at the beginning of the format, and it's kind of gotten less strong than it was initially.
I'm inclined to agree. I think a good way to put it is it's a very, I don't want to say easy mon to pick up, but it's a very easy mon to kind of throw on your team and have a concept with it, right? You look at it, okay, I'm going to set Trick Room, I'm going to sweep with my bear. But the inner workings of like actually being able to pilot it and line things up is actually such a high skill level with this mon that like I feel like that's one of the reasons like we're not seeing it convert, because there's only so many players that are like prominent enough to really be able to understand those inner workings right now. And like
Hmm.
there's that high flow. Like you really need to know how to position your trick room, when to bring things in, when to not bring things in, to be able to play this mon to the level that it should be able to be played. Otherwise, I think that you're gonna get a lot of like you said, just the people with the lines into it, and you're gonna run into them. Oh, they knew what to do, and I couldn't do anything, right? So
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that really stands out to me in this top 16 that I'm curious on your guys' thoughts, and really in Regulation D in general, no Dondozo at all in top 16. The first one we see here is at 21 that went 4-3. So what do you guys think about Dondozo? Obviously, it's been something that until I think was it Alex Gomez won with solo Dozo,
hmm
but no Commander Dozo has won any any big tournament this year. But it's always had consistently high placings. But Regulation D, it seems to have kind of fallen off the map for the most part. We've seen some comps, but not much. So how do you guys feel about Dozo heading into Worlds?
I have a theory why. I have a
yeah,
theory why. So
I'm gonna let
Dozo, I
Tom
think,
go.
is
I'll let Tom go. Tom, let us know.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna let it rip. So I think it's because Dozo is better as the format progresses. When you know the common threats and the way the metagame is developing, you know if you want Wave Crash, Order Up, Earthquake, Terra Grass, Terra Steel, Terra whatever, etc. You kind of could like position your Dozo to be very well into the metagame. When it's the Wild West and the first tournament of the new format, the Dozos are not tailored to any one team yet. So that's why I think there's going to be Dozos in day 2 of Worlds.
Yeah.
Like I know there's going to be Dozos that get out of day 1 of Worlds. Like I know that, we all know that, right? Like, am I crazy for
No,
saying that?
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. They're gonna be
Yeah,
there.
like
I
Some
wouldn't be
people are gonna
surprised.
try. People are gonna try. Let me put it
I
that way.
think
That's my thought on it.
they're-
People are gonna try.
they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there. Like, that's
I
the way
do
I
think
feel
they'll
about
be
it.
there, but like maybe it's gonna be very few. I think
Okay.
there's like Urshifu in itself obviously is not like Surging Strike is not doing a ton of damage, but the fact that you can't protect, get the lefty stall,
Mhm.
you have to just continue to attack, and Urshifu forces that mind game. You're critting through, and then you get like a Specs Moon Blast off with your Flutter next to it and stuff like that. Just doing so much damage to the Dozo that it's not as easy to build a good team around it as it was. I've seen a lot of like
Mhm.
Few Flutter, Torn, Ursh, Dondozo core, and like or Glamora instead of the Ursh or something like that, and just go hyper offense with Dozo.
Mhm.
But I really think it's gonna be a lot harder to do well with Dozo than it was in the first three series that we had.
I strongly agree. My take on this is, and my reason for the fall off is, it just feels like there's so many pieces that are able to aid you with your Dondozo matchup. Like before, you'd be able to play Dondozo, and there would be teams that just didn't have a piece that could deal with your Dondozo, and you would just win games.
Yeah,
Right? There were just
yeah,
matchups you would just simply walk in and win because you had a Dondozo and your opponent had nothing. But now, with the way all these teams are being built, it just feels like you can kind of look at it and go, yeah, there's a Dondozo matchup here, right? Like there's always like even Terra Grass Heatran with like a Terra Blast does a good job versus it, right? It's a bulky mon. Dondozos are
right.
forced now to kind of go back to the order up because of all this stuff. There's just pieces on like I'm looking at these teams, right? I'm like Fede Campos team, there's pieces to deal with Dozo, right? You can hit it hard with your Fluttermane. You can force it to not protect with your Urshifu. The Iron Hands is pretty strong into it as well. And that's just three pieces right there that already deal with Dozo. And it's probably not even meant to be a Dozo answer. He just has one built in without even needing to think about it, right? Big damage from Reggie Drago, Urshifu on the third place team here with the Reggie Drago stuff, right? You just start putting out damage. Then you can intimidate, or Amoongus with the fourth place team, right? I'm not going to go on for like 6 years, but like the point being is that there's so many teams out there that just already have the pieces to beat Dozo. Even Rillaboom is a big one, right? It feels
Yeah.
nice into Dozo, right? There's just so many pieces that just feel naturally nicer into Dozo now than there were prior, and it just makes Dozo's work a little bit more difficult.
For sure, for sure. All right, guys, how do you guys
Dondozo.
feel about transitioning to the game for a little bit?
Man.
Um, so I was thinking we could do the over. So we're gonna play a game, overrated or underrated. So I'm gonna name a mon, name their usage, and we can kind of give our thoughts on the mon and how it fits into the meta in general, and how you guys see it at Worlds, whether it's overrated or underrated right now. Sound good?
I'm in.
In.
All right. Cool. All right. First mon, Thunderous. And I'll leave it for we can kind of comment on both. Where the Therian and Incarnate. Incarnate is the far more popular version, but I've seen some Therian as well.
Yeah.
So Therian's Incarnate's at 10.2% usage.
Okay.
So how do you guys feel about Thundy right now? Overrated or underrated?
I'll let Tom go first. I've got my feelings on Thunderous, but I'll let Tom go first on this one.
Okay.
I hope you guys don't hate me for this answer. I think it's kind of perfectly rated right now. I think it does its job when you need it to. Eerie Impulse is worse with the Goldango being immune to it. There's a lot of physical attackers right now too. Being able to change the weather into the weather teams is huge right now. Like being able to set the rain when you want. It gets Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is good, really good.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say on that.
Thunderwave's good, right? Like
Yeah.
when it's looking tragic, click Yellow Magic.
Yeah.
Like, wait, Prankster Thunderwave? Yeah, sign me up any day that ends in Y.
Yeah.
Like that's always gonna be good.
Yep.
If like, I wouldn't be surprised to see someone piloting this mon very well and making a deep run at Worlds. Right around 10% is like where I would expect it, and I think the new Windbolt Storm being 100% in rain is just like great for it because it meshes so well with the rain teams now. Like if you have the Prankster Rain Dance, oh nice, you switch in your Torkoal, Prankster Rain Dish. Oh, what's it called? The only way to stop it is another Prankster Weathermon. Like that, like, or if you manually set rain before your weather abuse, but then the rain's up when the rain abuser next to like Thunderous is gonna go. Yeah, no, I think it's like pretty good right now. So I guess I'm saying it's it's underrated. Yeah, I guess
I think you're on the side of underrated right now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
talked myself
Tom
from like
says
right
it's
on the
underrated.
money to a little underrated.
I'm kind of in agreement with Tommy. I don't want to say underrated because I think 10% usage is still, technically speaking, a pretty good usage rate for this thing, right? Like 10% isn't. It just seems really low because you have other mons that are like Fluttermane 49%, Urshifu 50%, right? Just those mons make 10% seem really, really low. But I think 10% is a very valid amount of usage for a mon.
Yeah.
And like it definitely is a mon you have to now consider like matchups into. Like it's not low enough to a point where, oh, I don't need to worry about this. Like 10% usage feels, I don't want to say about right because like obviously what's right? But like I do like where it's at right now. I think it's a cool mon. I'm gonna go on this side of underrated here. Just doesn't feel appreciated enough, but I do know some of the downsides with it because I've personally tested this mon. So there's some bigger flaws with it that I don't know if we want to actually address here, but
I'm gonna go overrated. I think that it's a mon that you have to have like a mental herb on it because otherwise Tornadus is just gonna taunt you and then you kind of are just shut down. You're relying on Thunderwave a lot of times, which doesn't feel great because it can miss, and then sometimes you're just hoping for the para chance. It's just not great. And generally, you're Thunderwaving mons that are being set in Tailwind like half the time, and so like they're still like it's just the speed is negated. So even if they're a fast mon, it's still not helping you a ton. So I'm not the biggest Thundy advocate, so I think it's a little overrated. I mean, 10% usage, like you're saying, is a little. It's high relatively. I think it's top 16 right now. These are based off Picolytics usage, by the way, everyone.
Okay.
So that's. I think it's a little bit high. I prefer Torn as a Prankster mon or something else, but. All right, so I'm glad we're not all in agreement there.
Yeah, no, it's good when we like yell at each other. I think it just add substance to the show. Let's go.
Exactly. All right, next mon is at 2.3% usage. Farigiraf.
All right,
Farigiraf.
Tom, can I take this one, please? I have a lot to say about this giraffe.
Go for it.
Let it rip.
Okay,
Talk about it.
I can't be the only one that looks at this giraffe and goes, I am not scared of it in the slightest. Can I possibly be the only one that's just not terrified of this thing? Cue me losing to like 4 Farigiraffs at Worlds. But like, I look at this thing and I'm just like, as long as I don't rely on my priority, or if I need to rely on any priority that I have, as long as I can remove it fast enough, it's not doing damage. I don't care about it in a way, right? I
Spoken
think
like a true balance player.
really
I
though,
was
spoken
gonna
like a
say,
balanced
that's how
player
you
though.
know.
And it's just
That's
one
how
of
you
those
know Steve
mods that
much.
it's just like I don't really I get why people are using it, right? It really does do a very good job versus some of those like hyper offense things. You get the imprison to stop the trick room as well. It definitely needs usage. I think 2% feels a little underrated, but I personally cannot stand this giraffe. I don't think it's very good. But I do think that I can see the niche for it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not threatened by it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just something the way I play the game, but I look at it. I'm not scared. I do think it's obviously on an uptick right now. I think maybe it should be hovering around 4 or 5%. So I'm gonna go with underrated. But I really don't get the giraffe. I don't understand what the point of the giraffe is.
After all that, saying underrated.
Hey, you know
But
what?
that's how you know.
I'll speak the truth. Like I'm gonna say
No,
how I feel about it, but like
that's valid.
sometimes what I feel, it's like a me thing, right? Do I think the giraffe should be used more
Yeah.
in the metagame? Hey, it has a fantastic ability. It does do a lot of things versus some of the hyper offense stuff. It's still a good mod. I'm just not scared of it personally.
Yeah, no, I think it's been used as a band-aid.
Yes.
Honestly, like I think people aren't they haven't fully gotten how to prepare for Qian Pao Dragonite. I think that scared everyone and it's still scaring everyone. And then Trick Room stuff, and so people with their balance comps or their hyper offense comps are just like, all right, let's slap the giraffe on and it'll help me prepare for everything. It'll
Mhm.
just be the band-aid that isn't solving the problem. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
kind of putting it off for a little while,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's going to be the mon that people are truly scared of because besides just sitting there and clicking imprison, it's not doing anything. It's not doing much
Yeah.
damage. It's slow for these hyper offense comps. I just am not the biggest fan either, so I'm going to say a little overrated. I know the usage rate is a little low, but I've seen it pop up in tours. I've seen it
That's what I
do
was
well. I just think going into Worlds, it's just got a little overrated.
That's fair.
Tom,
I've
what do you
been
think?
running into this thing everywhere. I've been like playing so much of this giraffe, and as Tommy Trick Room over here, it sucks. I don't like playing it. It's like I don't like playing it. I'll be honest with you. Like
Yep.
it.
Y-
The
the
Trick
band-aid
players.
was for you, Tom. The band-aid was for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it's annoying. It's really annoying. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, if someone doesn't get a lot of practice in with it and uses it as that band-aid, I've been finding I have the advantage.
Mhm.
If someone gets a lot of practice in and knows how to position it well and use it well, then they've been like it's really interesting to see the difference in the players that know how to use it and don't know how to use it.
Mhm.
And I could usually figure that out game one in a limitless tour. But it's been like interesting to see
Yeah.
the players that know how to use it very well. And that's been more annoying, learning that
Mhm.
difference.
Checks out.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I will
All
say
right.
the Rocky Helmet variants are a little scarier. I'll admit the Rocky Helmet variants, like the on Frogger's team here, they're a bit more scary because normally it's like, oh, I can whittle it down when I want, or my Urshifu can start trying to blow
Right.
it up, and then if I want to blow it up with my Urshifu now because of the Rocky Helmet, it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, I'm taking 48%. Is it 48? I think it's 48%.
Yeah, yeah. I think like seeing a Rocky helmet on anyone is super annoying.
Yeah.
I'm just like I don't want to deal with this. I hate it,
Yep.
but I agree. Rocky helmet is annoying on the mon. All right, next mon at 2.7% usage. Gastrodon. Thoughts on Gastrodon?
Don't start me on this one, Tommy. Go ahead. or Conk, you can start one up too.
I'll start. I'll start. With this
Yeah,
one.
go for this one.
So Gastrodon always is terrible until the power level becomes really high and there's a super overpowering Watermon like Kyogre last year in Series 12. And so it's made a little bit of a reappearance with Surging Strikes, Urshifu everywhere.
Yeah.
Another Mon that's just like a yawn bot, and like unless they it's really just for Urshifu. Like it's not doing much else. Earth Power and its Muddy Waters just really doing like it's like a 3 shot or 4 shot sometimes on AV Iron Hands for Earth Power. Like it's just not good damage. And if people have answers for Yawn, which with Taunt or Cresselia Lunar Blessing, they usually do. I'm gonna say it's overrated. I know 2.7% usage, again, not super high, but I've seen the people who are passionate about Gastrodon are very loudly passionate about it.
Yep.
And so I've
That's
seen
what
it,
it is.
and so I'm gonna say it's a little overrated.
Hold up, guys.
Why does it come back when the power level goes up? Why is this stupid slug coming back all the time?
Once again, it's just a way of trying to stop people from bringing that Pokemon, right? If it's like a 50% usage mon and I have my Gastrodon now, people are like, in my eyes, it's one of those ones where it's like, hey, if I can stop you from bringing one key element to your team, it's going to make the rest of my team be able to function. And you can kind of see it on Carson's team here that I have pulled up from the ESM tournament. And Fluttermane doesn't like eating a Surging Strikes. Landorus doesn't like eating a Surging Strikes. King Gambit does not like a close combat, right? And just having that Gastrodon makes that Urshifu player think twice. And that's why it comes into these things. The question is making the Urshifu player think twice worth having a Gastrodon on your team? And first of all, if you're going to have a Gastrodon on your team, please let it be blue. Are we going to have this debate, guys? Are we going to have this debate?
Totally blue Gastrodon. Absolutely.
Tommy?
I couldn't care less, to be honest. I've never used
it. That's better than you pink Gastrodon stands.
You know
I'm calling all you pink Gastrodon lovers out right now. It is blue Gastrodon or nothing.
Blue Gastrodon, for sure.
Why?
It's blue.
Better.
It's better. Blue is better. I don't know. Blue is just better.
Muddy waters.
It's a water type. It should be blue.
Right,
Okay, done. Sold. Blue Gastrodon team. I'm in.
Awesome. All right, this next one I'm really excited to talk about because I feel like it has had the community divided and its followers are very passionate.
Oh no. Don't say Gudra.
Hisuian Gudra
No!
at 9.2 net usage. What are your guys' thoughts?
Overrated as hell. It cannot be. This is probably one of the most overrated mons in the format. And it's not that it's a bad mon. Its stats are good. Right? It has very, very viable stats. It does decent things. I'm not going to say it's like straight up a bad Pokemon, but it is very, very overrated. And I just feel that like, yeah, it's cool, right? You get your iron defenses up and that can just win you games. Or in this case, it's like acid armor or shelter, right? You get your +2 defense. You can't get crit. It can just win you games if you play it properly. But I feel like any player, like a competent player, is one, going to have an answer to it on their team if it's a well-built team. And two, are going to know how to not let it get the best of them, right? So there's always going to be that, well, it's going to potentially win me a few sets on its own. But I feel like it's not enough of a threat against the higher level players where it's actually going to be a threat in the meta. I think it's overrated. Once again, it has good tools. I can't see it sticking around for much longer.
Yeah.
I got by it early. I was disrespecting the hell out of it. I was like, this thing's trash. It just sits there and does nothing. And then I got by one behind screens with Parting Shot Grimsnarl. And I kept getting paralyzed. And I was just like, oh my god. And it was in the rain too. So like my fire type attacks weren't doing much. And I was like, wait, okay, let me look into this thing more. And it has good stats, good moves, good ability, but at the end of the day, I think you have to tailor the team around it, like this person was doing. Like,
I agree.
Where it was a screens team, where it was damage reduction with Intimidate and Parting Shot, where they were using Snarl on their Arcanine, where they were like just doing everything in their power to lower my damage while raising their damage reduction. You know, like it was just I was in the torture chamber. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to play against.
Yeah.
And that's like the best way to make this thing viable. But how many of those teams are going to be able to do well into everything?
Right.
I don't think many.
No.
I think they'll get some people, but I don't think they'll get the world. Like if it's a World's Day 1 player, are they going to make it out of day 1? Are they going to get 6 wins with that tailored Gudra team? I don't know.
It's 7 there, right, Tommy?
I thought it was 8 rounds.
Oh, is it only 8?
I don't know. I could be wrong. I saw a Neil VGC video. He said 8 rounds and 6 wins, and once you get your 6th win, you get pulled out.
I thought it was going to be 9. In the past, it's been 9. I mean, either way, the concept is still the same, right? Are you going to be able to get the right number of wins? So
either way,
X2.
It might depend on how many of us actually show up.
Yeah.
right?
I agree. I think it's a little like for the usage, it's overrated. And like I was a big Gudra hater, to be honest. I understand it. Like it is great mon in terms of its stats, great ability, right? Shell armor super good against all the Urshifu stuff. It just, especially with a game that we have a timer, you can just play the all my friends are dead syndrome,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
then stall it out where
Mhm.
you just have 2 mons left, especially if like you have a Goldango in front of it. Like we were saying, Goldango walls it pretty well,
Yeah.
because Heavy Slam's doing nothing to it
Mhm.
and he can't body press it. So I just don't think it's going to be the call for Worlds. I just don't. I think someone will figure it out and someone will do super well with it,
Mhm.
um, at some point. And I think there will be some Hisuian Gudra in day 2, a couple maybe. I just don't think it's going to be the one that is something that like is super scary, or
I
at
agree.
least it's going to be the one that takes it all the way. You
I
know?
agree. Like even if you just look at this weekend's ESM or esports match one that we just reviewed, it's
Yeah.
hold up. The metagame, there was one Gudra. And like I know
Yeah.
it's a smaller tournament, 77 players I think was the number, but one is really goes to show you that like with the top players that were in this tournament, how many of them are kind of really considering Gudra as something that they really want to consider, because I don't think it gets what it wants to get. I'm in agreement. It's just not there.
It's a $400 place tournament. So people would like, yo, I got to bring mons that I think can earn me some money. That's the way I
That's
look at it,
exactly
too.
it. And if people aren't
No one
confident in
knows Gudra.
Gudra,
Yeah, one
Right?
person was.
It's very telling. It's very telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's the end of that game for now. And now we're going to give our bold predictions for Worlds. So we're each
Oh,
going to give one bold prediction that we think is going to happen at Worlds. Could be about, it's not winner predictions because we're going to do that next, but bold predictions about Mons, about teams, anything, whatever you guys think. So I'll leave the floor open, whoever wants to go.
Tommy, you want to go for this one? I've got something, so if you need a minute to think, go ahead. I have something I can say, but if you want to go for it, go for it.
Pincurchin. I think we're gonna
Let's give
see
you a
one
minute, Tom.
Pincurchin.
All right, guys, it's time to end the video. Tommy lost his mind.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the podcast.
We
forever,
said
guys.
bold predictions, Tommy. We didn't say like completely out there.
We didn't say bad
One.
prediction. We said bold prediction, okay? All right. Sableye, why don't you go first?
Hold on. No. Let's hear Tommy out. Hold up.
Okay.
This is a safe space.
What's
Tommy,
happening
go
with
ahead.
What's happening with Pincurchin?
There's gonna be one.
Someone's gonna
That's
bring
my
Pincurchin to
prediction.
the world.
That's my bold prediction. There's gonna be one Pincurchin that gets locked into Worlds.
Okay.
Day 1 or day 2.
Okay,
I don't
that
know
is a
which
bold
one.
prediction. You know what?
That's a bold prediction. I'll give it to you.
That is a bold prediction. That is a bold.
I
prediction.
am.
There's gonna be one. I don't know if it's gonna be
We're
good.
gonna take a look at this. We're gonna review these predictions after.
We're
after
gonna come
Worlds.
back on this. My
One.
my bold prediction, guys, is I'm gonna support the Canadian crew here, and I am going to say we're gonna find a Canadian in top
way.
16. There's gonna be at least
Okay.
one Canadian in top 16. That is my prediction. Now, this is kind of like my almost like betting on myself sort of thing, but like I'd honestly like love to see the Canadians do well at Worlds, and I think we've got a strong enough roster from the Canada crew going down there that I think that they definitely could see one in top 16. That's my bold prediction.
What I'm hearing is, since I was technically born in Canada, that I'm gonna be making top 16. So thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
My
Totally what I was
bold
referring to.
My bold prediction, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't think this has ever won Worlds, or at least not recently. I'm gonna say that a hard trick room or a very trick room oriented team wins Worlds.
Wow, going straight to call the winning team.
Thank
Super-
you.
super
I
bold,
appreciate you having
know?
so much faith in me.
All right, hold up. Time out.
Who's to say that that's not me calling my own shot? You know?
Time out though. If you're taking my prediction of the Canadian and you're saying that I'm betting on you by saying a Canadian's making top 16, and Tommy's taking your prediction of the fact that Trick Room, do I have to play Pincurchin now? Do I have to be the Pincurchin?
You have to lock it in.
Wow, I
You
really
have to
gave you
lock
the
it in.
short end of the stick.
Don't, Tommy, what are you doing?
It's gonna be like a team sheet error on Arcane9. You're gonna like try to put in like I don't know, something else, and then it's
Yeah,
gonna end up.
and it's
being
gonna end up
Pincurchin.
being a Pincurchin. I'm gonna have to pull this random Pincurchin from my box and put it on my team.
Lightning
it.
rod or electric terrain?
You gotta go electric train. You gotta go electric train for the Moongas. I've actually tried to make Pincurchin work so many times throughout like VGC, and like it's just always bad. Like even now with the Quark Drive stuff, it's still so bad. It's really
I had a friend trying to
unfortunate.
make the best Pincurchin Iron Hands team, and I said, "Friends don't let friends run Pincurchin." I just have to hope there's one person without any friends out there.
I used to do
lets
that
them
with
lock
Soul
into
Galio.
Pincurchin.
I used to
Yeah,
say, friends don't let friends run Soul Galio. It
Yeah.
just wasn't a thing. Now, Soul Galio had usage, don't get me wrong. Before, because, like, okay, hold up. This Soul Galio fan base is insane. They will come in here and they will find me. They will be like, no, Soul Galio is great. They're gonna come get me. Guys, the Soul Galio people are coming for me now. It's over for
Hey,
me.
taking the pod between Tom's Pincurchin take and you with the Solgaleo hate, we're just tanking the pod.
Oh, yeah,
on day
no.
one. I love
No,
it.
you gotta throw the controversial stuff in there, though, you know? Throw the hot
One
takes in there every
Pincurchin.
once in a while.
One single. Is that really that bold of a take?
I,
All right, guys.
I'm
Let's
gonna
move on
look
to
at these
winner
other tournaments and I'm looking for Pincurchin, cause like now I gotta see if nope, not here. I gotta see if Tommy's coming
We
through.
gotta find one in a limitless tour. We gotta.
I
find
will
one.
not find
I'm
one,
talking
right?
about one at Worlds. They're saving their sauce for Worlds. They're not.
That's
showing
true. You're right.
Pincurchin
They're
on
hiding
release.
it. They're
That's fair.
hiding it. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
They're hiding it.
That's one
fair.
of those strategies you have to hide. If you have Pincurchin sauce,
That's true.
That's
true.
fair. That's fair.
All right, guys. All right, let's move on to winner predictions. Who do you think will be the winner, our 2023 world champion?
I have someone in mind. Do you guys want to go ahead and go first? I'm
I
definitely.
don't
open.
really have anyone in mind, to be honest with you. I didn't know where to start with this one, and then I kind of procrastinated it, and I still don't. I kind of just like I'm gonna go with the gut from this one, I guess. But like, yeah, I want to hear what you're saying, Ryan.
Okay.
I want to
So
hear your
for me
opinion first.
personally, this is Japan's year to win. We've been alternating no Japan, Japan, no Japan, Japan, but I actually think that's gonna break. That pattern's gonna snap this year. I'm gonna put my smart money on Joe UX9 winning the tournament. Now, I just think Joe has had too good of a season to not make a deep run at Worlds. Joe is gonna make a deep run. Whether or not he's going to pull off the W, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but I can my money's on Joe. I definitely could see Joe winning Worlds. That's my take. I'm saying Joe wins Worlds. You heard it here first.
I really considered saying Joe too because he has had an incredible season and he's been grinding like nobody else for the last like couple of years. So definitely consider saying Joe. He's definitely gonna make a deep run. I would be surprised if he didn't. I am gonna go a little bit different direction. Now I am gonna say that I just slipped my mind. What was I gonna say? Shoot. Here, Tom, you want to take it over? I literally was going to say someone and I just forgot.
He had the build up going.
I know. I literally had the build up. Shoot. Who's at the top of the I'm gonna say this is Chua's year. I'm gonna say Chua
Oh.
Okay.
gets his title and basically has one of the GOAT resumes. I mean, already, but adds to it, the one thing that he's been missing is that world championship title, and he got so close last year at top 4. I think he's gonna get it this year, and he is going to be the world champion.
All right.
Can
like that
I
one.
take? Can I take? I want to say it's going to be an unknown player. I don't know from what region though.
All right, take
I
the
think
field.
it's going to be. I think it's going to be like a player that in. I think it's open. I think this year's the most open it's ever been.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see a player come out of nowhere with not a lot of recognition and not a lot of accolades, and just come out of nowhere and do really well,
Okay.
and just slap around some of these vets that we think are like the favorites, and see you know what, I got a real bold prediction instead of the Pincurchin one. I think 4 out of the top 8 are going to be players that have not won a regional before.
So you're saying I'm gonna slide into top 8?
Yeah, I mean,
like that's either
three
like
people
North
right
American
here.
player that's never won a regional, maybe like the Japanese and Asian circuits that have never played in a regional,
That's
so they
also
haven't had the
fair,
opportunity to win. You know, so maybe but then I think 4 of them will be like the European or the North American or the Australian or the Latin American staples that have won big tournaments. But I think at least 4 of them will be more unknown players.
Okay.
And I think it's more the Fields tournament to lose. I think this year especially, the Wild West, man. tournament in the new format. Like, first Japan Worlds. I think anything is possible. I want to see like a Disney story. I want to see someone come out of nowhere and win
Yeah.
it all. That's
Okay.
what I'm rooting for.
Like a nice little
I'm about it.
Cinderella run sort of
Love it.
thing. I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I
All right,
don't know
guys.
their name yet. But
Yeah.
All
no,
right.
I love it.
Okay, I
All right.
respect it.
Well, we're coming close to the end of the show here,
Yep.
but I want to get some closing thoughts, especially with some big news dropping today about the 2024 circuit. So don't want to dive too deep into it because, again, the focus is the World Championships coming up in a couple weeks here. But want to get some quick thoughts before we close the show on what you think about the 2024.
I feel that I have more experience with these circuit changes, so I think I'm actually gonna talk last. I'm gonna let you guys go, and then I'm gonna kind of just throw my opinion in after.
Cool.
So, as a new player, this is my first year trying. I never knew anything but 300 points.
Okay.
I never knew something but best two finishes for PCs. Like the GCs are new this year that weren't during COVID, right? Like, but they were the players. So it's like, this was my first real introduction. I kind of liked the 6-month break. So now to see there's no 6-month break, the CP limit goes up by 200. It makes it harder to qualify for Worlds. There's not going to be people that sneak in with top 128 finishes at a lot of the regionals. Now you're going to have to show up and show out. Like, those regionals become that much more valuable. The GCs become that much more valuable. The locals, 6 MSSs and 6 PCs. I don't know how many MSSs there are. Are they like as common in PCs? Or is there like one a month? Is there like, how does that work?
Generally for MSSs, they tend to break the season down into like 3 segments. So every TO can kind of host one MSS every 3 months, sort of thing. I can't speak for if that's going to be the same this time around. If it's not going to be the same this time around, it's tough for me to speak on that. I don't know, but generally,
so that's awesome. That's actually awesome to hear, because then if I could host, like, if I could go to a couple of MSSs hosted in my area, then that best 6 becomes more realistic.
Yeah.
You know, if there's like a couple opportunities for me
there
to
will
get
be
6
enough.
finishes.
There will be enough for dedicated players and players who are really pushing to get to at least 6 of them. There's no way it's not going to happen. There will be enough for the dedicated players to get to. It's
over 10 months. Yeah.
Over 10 months, it's going to happen. And
yeah,
Rushi, I'm going to let you talk quickly about what your thoughts are here, because I could go on all day about this because
I'll be brief. I think that it's going to be dedicated players. They will make the grind and they will get their invites. I think it's just intimidating number, right? Especially we had a lot of people join the VGC community in 2020, and they're, like Tom said, like, what we've known is 300 points. And so obviously there's more opportunities, and the kickers made it so that like half the people at every regional get CP, but it's just an
I didn't look at the kickers.
Yes, they updated the kickers. I was going to talk about that too.
I haven't seen the kickers yet. That's news to me.
So,
okay, perfect.
It's intimidating though, and I think it's just, the big thing is we're not, like, Pokemon's not very high prize money game, unfortunately, and so it takes a lot of resources to travel and to go to these regionals and stuff like that. So I just think it's a little unfortunate because it's just going to become a little bit more costly to try to get to Worlds. I don't think it's like a huge deal of 300 to 500 points just because there are going to be more opportunities. It's just that you now have to pay more for those opportunities, and I think that's a little unfortunate, and spend more time.
I very much agree with that, and I think you took the words out of my mouth, is that it's intimidating, but I think that's kind of all it is. If you are committed and you actually do commit, 500 and 300, I feel like they're an even challenge based on the opportunities we had from this past season into this season, because we do have so many more locals. And guys, I'm just going to put this into a little bit of a perspective here. Tommy, you said the best finish limit was 6 really quick, and I just don't want to, I'm just trying to get some information out there. And like, best finish, if you can win 6 premier challenges and 6 mid-season showdowns, guys, nobody's winning that unless you're like an absolute like god at the game. Okay, nobody's doing that, right? And do I feel comfortable that I could win? I could probably get 5 PCs and maybe 2 to 3 MSSs, right, from my local scene right now, over the course of 10 months, of course. But like, if I were to win every single MSS and every single PC and get 6, that's 480 points, right? And like, yes, it's obviously like a very hyper exaggerated realistic example, because like no one's winning that, right? But if you look at my 2019-2020 season, just the season where it got broken up because of the pandemic, I had one top 16 at a regional, which was 80 points, as it's same as it is today. And it was by March, I had 320. So and that was just off locals. I didn't get any other points from regionals. It was just a one regional at top 16, and then everything else was from locals. So yes, 500 looks daunting, but you can really get a lot off of locals. You really can. So I know it's very intimidating, but I hope it doesn't like discourage people, because that's what I wouldn't want it to do. Because you look at it, 500. I only get 200 if I win a regional. Like, it's the easiest trap to fall for, right?
Yeah.
But realistically speaking, if you go to a regional and you get top 32, there's no reason you can't get a good chunk of points from locals as well, right? If you're good enough to get top 32 at a regional, and the format, and it's actually becoming a lot harder to get points from regionals, right? Just because like of the player base, it's getting stronger. We have more good players, more opportunities, more information out there just for players to be better. Like before, like back when like I first started, I remember back in late 2016, like there used to be talk, like I never went to a regional in 2016, but there used to be talk where you could play a first 3 rounds and you could play 3 in-game teams, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get that anymore. It's
Right.
you get 700 player regionals, and almost everybody there is competent now, right? Like everybody knows how to play the game. Everybody's at least considered some sort of thing, right? Hey, you might just show up on your whim and play, right? But like, if you're showing up to play VGC, you know about VGC, and I think that's the way to put it now, right? You know the game enough to at least realize that there's regionals and there's tournaments for this. I don't think there's nearly. I think it's a lot harder to make it out of day one and actually get points at a regional than it used to be. The kicker lowering the kicker does help. It's going to be a nice clean. You get top 256 CP for only 512 participants now, whereas that used to be 800. So it's going to be a lot nicer to chip away at this invite. So basically what I'm saying is don't get scared. There's opportunities, but it definitely is intimidating when you first look at it.
What's top 256 points again?
I think it's just 30. It's obviously not like a lot, but you get 2 or 3 30s.
Over time.
All of a sudden, that's 90 points, right? Like, and I think
that would help me so much this season, where I missed out on points at San Diego.
And I know Canadians that would have, if they would have had their invite if those kickers were in place this year. So it's definitely a very open change. 500, like I said, it's a little daunting, but I don't necessarily know if it's wrong. I do think it's nice to have the challenge, right? But at some point, you have to consider the not so dedicated players who maybe don't have the funds, maybe don't have the resources to get to every venue, right? Because I do think some of those people deserve credit as well and deserve a chance at Worlds as well.
I was a Wallet Warrior this year. It was fun, but I definitely can't do that every year.
Yeah.
I went to every regional but Fort Wayne and Vancouver.
The two I was at. Thanks, Tommy. Is it just me? Is it just me? You avoided the regionals I was at?
Like, that's so unfortunate. No, Fort Wayne, my grandpa's 95th birthday dinner. I was not missing that for anything. So he's shout out April 2nd, a day away from being a fool. So, any regional on that weekend, I'm there. But
for sure, life comes first, 100%.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna wrap this up.
Conk is killing the fun again, Tommy.
Yeah, sorry guys.
I will just talk and talk and talk. We need that though.
We do.
For all the listeners and everything, we decided before the show that I would be the mediator, and there was very little resistance on that because Ryan and Tommy can talk for hours on end.
You give me something I'm passionate about, I'll go on for hours.
Well, I hope everyone had a great time listening to the very first episode of your premier VGC podcast, the Chilling Neigh Pod. I'm Conkledonk VGC, joined by Sableye and Tom. Please watch them on their streams. They both stream on their channels. Sableye has an awesome YouTube channel, so please check them out. But we will see you again after Worlds. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you next time.